Welcome to a special episode here, an on-location episode of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury with myself, Ryan Drury, and that's Clarkey, and we're in Clarkey's basement. Yes, hello. We're in Clarkey's basement, all bedazzled in his Leaf stuff. I'm actually sitting in, tell the people what I'm sitting in here.
That Clarkey. Is a special chair you're sitting in.
It's pretty special.
It is. It's from Maple Leaf Gardens. And it's a gold seat. Not that I ever sat in a gold seat at Maple Leaf Gardens, because they were the lowest, right?
For sure.
But that is an authentic Maple Leaf Gardens chair.
This is real deal Holyfield.
Oh, yeah.
Let me get up.
Real
and
deal.
Just, this is it.
Seat 7.
Authenticated right there.
Right on the bottom. Yeah.
Authenticated by the team.
It's for sale.
It's for sale?
Anything.
You're selling this?
Anything's for sale for the right price.
Why would you sell this? You can't sell this. You got to give this to your grandkids someday or something.
Well,
don't sell
they
this,
have to come over to the bright side if that happens.
That's true. Yeah, your kids, their families aren't even...
Exactly.
We're brought to you, by the way, by our friends at Conway Furniture.
Yes.
And also Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC.
I was at Conway Furniture this week.
Yes, you were. Yeah,
I went to see Mitch. Mitch wasn't there, but that's fine. You know what was there? The fry truck.
Yeah, the fry truck's still there.
It's still there.
Obviously, Instigating, we do our Conway Furniture Couch Potato at the end of every show, and you can really get into the potato spirit when you go over to Conway Furniture because the fry truck's right there. There's potatoes everywhere. How about that?
Exactly. Spuds galore.
Absolutely. And listen, we had a great week last week. Todd Hamilton came on. I still can't believe that we had him on and that he gave us so much of his time. And as a matter of fact, Todd gave us so much of his time that we ended up recording a bunch more that didn't make it into last week's show. And we thought, the Open is occurring right now. Why not just roll this into next week? And it was a pretty incredible conversation we had with the guy.
We talked about it after. We were texting back and forth. And
it was
probably
nuts.
the biggest guest, not biggest name guest, but just having a guy who played in the British Open and played today, as we record on Thursday in the British Open, was in the first group today.
That's right.
Shot an 11 over. That's an 82. I'd be happy with an 82.
20th anniversary of his win at Royal Troon.
And he played with Justin Leonard, who was a fan favorite of mine back in the day. Justin Leonard played as well. He was 8 over. But yeah, just... like Doigie, obviously we owe it all to Doigie because they're buddies. He hooked us up well, and it was an incredible show. Just hearing him talk about the shots he made back in 2004 on the 18th hole, and producer Adam, a great job cutting in all the highlights.
Yeah, producer Adam hammered those.
It was such a great show.
Quite a production.
And looking forward to part 2 today.
Absolutely. We're going to jump into that right now. We've got so much more with 2004 Open Champion Todd Hamilton talking about his time on the Asia and Japan tours. By the way, he was the second highest earning non-Japanese player ever on the Japanese tour. He digs into his career over there and how much he loved playing. He talks specifically about Royal Troon and the course and digs into some of the really difficult holes there that players are going to have to watch out for this week, and so much more, including an after party with the Claret Jug back in 2004. Here's more with Todd Hamilton.
Hammy, I just want to talk a little bit about your play overseas, in Japan, and you and I playing in Asia together and stuff like that. Have you got any funny stories or anything that kind of went on over there when we were there? I told the story earlier when we were off air about when we flew into Japan. And I can't remember if we stayed in Tokyo or went down to Ibaraki, but we got into our room and we were starving and we ordered a pizza. And it came, and remember, it was like $70 for that pizza that night. Do you remember that?
I don't remember, but I have gotten pizzas over there and gotten the bill and wondered how they could charge that much. Yeah. I will say we went out to dinner one night to a Pizza Hut, ordered pizza. I think we had 3 couples. It was Brant Job and his girlfriend, Brian Watts and his girlfriend at the time, and then my wife and I went to Pizza Hut in Japan and got some pizzas for us, and then we got some pitchers of soda. And we tried to cheat the system. We told them we didn't want any ice, because we wanted them to fill the whole thing up with soda. Well, they outsmarted us because they brought it with no ice, but the soda was only filled halfway up in the pitcher. So they knew what
no.
trying to do, but we couldn't get it past them. But
That's funny.
Wow.
you know,
Well, Todd, I bet they didn't do that after you started tearing it up on the tour over there because, and Doigie, we were talking about this off air as well. Like, you're legitimately one of the greatest non-Japanese players in tour history over there. Like, what was it about playing over there that just seemed to suit your game so well? I mean, 11 wins, over 6 million in winnings. I mean, what was it about playing over there that just seemed to really treat or suit your game, if you will?
boy, I don't know. You know, I played 5 years on the Asian golf tour. We went to places like Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, India, Thailand. I went to Pakistan once. So I was comfortable playing different countries, different conditions, different weather. I was fortunate when I did play in Japan that I had a lot of friends that were also doing the same thing. And we were able to hang out together. And I think it would have been very, very difficult to try to do that on your own. My wife went for about 5 or 6 years till we had our first child. And then I was on my own over there. But again, if you had to do that on your own with no friends, I think that would have been tough. I met some really nice Japanese people. Most of the Japanese people did not want the Americans or foreigners to succeed, but I met some really nice Japanese people that encouraged us to do well. And if we did happen to have a good tournament, they used to volunteer a couple tournaments a year. If we did happen to have a good tournament, when we went to the tournament that they volunteered, they made sure to, you know, hug us or give us a high five or tell us good job, things like that. But most of the time, their fans or the Japanese people, they did not want a foreigner to do well, which is understandable. You know, we got the Olympics coming up. I'm rooting for the U.S. I'm sure you guys are rooting for Canada. I know the U.S. played Canadians in a little friendly basketball game the other night. I didn't realize that a couple of the Canadian players play for the Oklahoma City Thunder. So
Yes,
it only makes sense that you root for your own people. So it didn't bother me. And matter of fact, I think it kind of hardened me to do well once I got on the PGA Tour. It was a great experience.
So Hammy, I'm gonna interject for a second.
Okay.
As much as they cheered for their own over there, it probably wasn't quite like in Korea.
Oh, God. No.
Some of the things that happened in Korea. Do
No,
you recall any of the funny things that happened in Korea? Maybe you want to tell one of those stories.
I remember, and I actually ended up winning the tournament in Korea, the story I'm about to tell. The last hole, if you hit your drive to the right, you had no chance to get onto the green. And it was myself in the final group. I think there was a Taiwanese guy and there was a Korean guy. Excuse me. I don't remember. I think I had a one-shot lead playing the last hole. And I believe I made bogey. The Taiwanese guy made par. The Korean guy hit his drive out to the right. Again, he had no shot to the green. Yet, when he got to his ball, he had a shot. But fortunately for us, myself and the Taiwanese guy, TC Chen, a very famous Taiwanese golfer, was out there following the Taiwanese player. And TC Chen was very influential in Asian golf. And he saw what had happened with some of the Korean fans kicking the Korean's ball further to the left so he had a shot at the green. Well, he witnessed this, and the guy that was the head of the Korean Golf Federation or their PGA or something, he went and told the guy, he said, if you don't make sure that this ball gets close to where it was, I will make sure none of your players ever play outside of Korea again. And sure enough, that ball got put back
Wow.
The guy no shot. I think he made a bogey, and he was one behind anyway, so he didn't have a chance. The Taiwanese guy, myself, ended up going into a playoff. I don't remember how many holes we played, but I ended up winning the playoff, and I still consider that one of my better victories, just by going through, knowing that if you hit one offline, there's no telling where the ball could end up. A lot of times your drives, you had to hit over and down some hills, and you lost sight of the ball. So if you didn't hit it straight, there's no telling where it could have ended up, which is sad, but that's just the way it was.
Yeah, that was the story that I was kind of looking for.
Yeah, that's the one. I do want to ask quickly as well, Todd, before we go, because you're going back to a very special place for you, a very special place for pro golf. When you think back to those 4 magical rounds in 2004 and other times you played the course as well, what would you say is the most difficult hole at Royal Troon? Because there's a few interesting candidates. I know 11 plays pretty difficult. 18's not exactly a picnic either. What hole, or maybe a couple holes, really stuck out for you whenever you walked up to them during those 4 days and you said, man, I better hit it right on this one?
I'm going to say, if the wind blows the normal direction that it does, and if it gets up to 15, 20, 25, I'm going to say it's the whole back 9, because the front 9 goes out pretty much in a straight line, except for the 8th hole. The 8th hole actually goes in the opposite direction of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9. And then when you make the turn, and all the holes on the front other than 8 usually play downwind, and it's the gettable or the scoreable 9 holes. So when you make the turn from 10 on in, it's pretty much into and off the left, which for a right-handed golfer is the worst wind you can have. Now, there is one hole, number 12, that mimics number 8 in the fact that it goes the opposite direction. So it would play, assuming you got the normal direction of wind, 12 would actually play downwind instead of into the wind. So 11 is a very difficult hole. I know in years past, they used to play it as a par 5. Back in, I think, 82, they played the Open there. They played it as a par 5, I believe. You cannot see the fairway from the tee. You have to pick a spot on a hotel in the distance that shows you where the fairway is. 18, you mentioned, is a difficult one, especially if you're coming up it with a chance to win or force a playoff. 17 is a long par 3. I just read where they added some length to it, and I think it's at 242 yards now. And I want to say it used to be about 220 something. So all the holes from 10 on in, assuming you get the normal wind direction, throwing out the 12th hole because it would play downwind, I think the whole back 9 is a very, very good test.
Well, and it's a test you conquered, my friend, in 2004. What a time that was. And we appreciate you coming on here and reliving some of those memories. Doigie, any closing thoughts?
I just want to know, Hammy, are you going back to the same Italian place every night this week or that week?
You know, I think I didn't go back. I went back and played it in 2016 at Troon, but the place, he had moved the place. I didn't that week. My family went, but I didn't want to go. It was about 15 or 20 minutes away from where we were staying. So I probably won't unless we happen to be staying near it, then I will. But
just to interject, guys, you probably don't know this part of the story, but Hammy went to the same Italian place every night for dinner. And you don't want to change the karma, right? So he kept
for sure.
You kept going back going back. And
yeah, we didn't go every night, but Wednesday or Tuesday before the tournament, the owner came by our table and asked if we were there for the golf, and we said yeah. And my caddy piped up. We're playing. My player here is playing in it. When we win Sunday night, we're coming back with the trophy.
Yeah.
Well, lo and behold, that happened. So I ended up doing a lot of media stuff, went back and took a shower. I think by the time we got to the restaurant, it was about 11:30. Now, the trophy they gave me came in a big hard-sided case. It looked like a cameraman case that he would carry his lenses in. Real hard, silver, hard-sided case. So they were having a worker dinner there. So we got up there and knocked on the door. You saw there were some blinds on the windows. They kind of opened like this. 2 eyes peered out. I lifted the case up. The blinds went down. Another person came. The blinds went up. I lifted the case. It was the owner. He let us in. I think we stayed there for about 4 hours. Cooked spaghetti, lasagna, everything. We had champagne. Now, I'm going to tell you something funny about that story. In 2020, a friend of mine asked me to play in a North Texas section golf tournament. This was the year of COVID. So I said, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I'm a member of the section. I thought it was kind of odd. I'm a tour player playing in it, but there were some other guys that were in the same boat as me. So we played, and we get paired with this guy. He's a Scottish guy, and he works at Dallas National. And at the time, I was living in Dallas. I'd never met this guy. We get on the second tee, and he says, I want to tell you a funny story. He says, I know you've won 2 golf tournaments on the PGA Tour. He says, I was at both of them. He said, my parents, they had a house in West Palm Beach, which was where the Honda Classic was. He says, I was visiting them and came out to watch the tournament. I don't think he came to watch me specifically, but he was out there watching the tournament. He says, and I was at Troon when you won the Open in 2004. He says, to make the story even crazier, I know that you went Sunday night after you won to a restaurant called Cicchini's, Italian restaurant. And I said, yes, how do you know that? He said, my sister was one of the waitresses that was there at the party that night. So she got to see the trophy. I swear to God. He pulls up the picture that the owner had sent me. He had the same picture on his phone. The owner had taken a picture, blown it up, and sent it to me of all the workers and myself, my caddy with the trophy. Very, very ironic. I need to call him, come over this next week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, if all the stars align, and you play like you did 20 years ago, can you promise us right after the 18th hole, you're in the clubhouse with the Claret Jug, you'll give us a call and we can talk to you?
Absolutely. I don't know if my phone will work.
Oh.
I'll probably have my roaming turned off so it won't.
Okay, we'll figure it out.
Dinged a bunch, but I may just drive up to Canada and just be on the show personally. How's that?
That's even better.
Well, that would be kind of fun, Hammy. You know you're welcome at my house anytime, right?
I'll come up and get a chipping lesson, and then I'll be on the podcast.
That would be awesome.
Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you by our friends at Conway Furniture, Highway 86, east end of Listowel, by the way, and of course, our friends over at Larry Hudson Chevrolet Buick GMC. Thanks so much again to Todd Hamilton, 04 Open Champion at Royal Troon, where the tournament's being held again this year over in Scotland. Just incredible to have that guy. And again, like I said in the opening, Clarkey, incredible just to have him on. It would have been great to just ask a couple questions, but the fact that he gave us all that time last week and he ended up giving us so much more that we were able to roll into this week. I mean, the guy was so gracious with his time. It's incredible to talk to a human being like that won such a historic tournament.
Yeah, for sure. And the best part, in my mind, was him taking part in this week's pool.
That was, which was amazing.
It was amazing. His first pick bombed this morning, but so did mine.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I was looking at the picks because producer Adam, of course, keeps track of everything here at the show. And producer Adam, we're looking at the picks here, and the fact that we let him come on and make picks, and the fact that like his team, when you look at it, is really good. That Bryson, tough start, but Todd's got DeChambeau, Scheffler. Yeah. We let him have Scheffler.
I know, fifth pick.
Victor Hovland, one of my guys.
Your guy.
And of course,
I don't think he's doing well either.
Patrick Cantlay. Yeah, Hovland's not off to a great start either. Your team's, Clarkey, this might be one of the best teams heading into a tournament I think you've ever taken. Chris, to remind everybody, has Rory, of course. Mm-hmm. Cam Smith, a former champion. Xander Schauffele, who's starting to heat up, finally won a major.
Had a good first round.
And our guy, Corey Connors of Listowel.
Yeah, and he had a good first round.
Yes, he did.
Anywhere around par on this course is good.
He's been, especially with the wind, it's supposed to be even windier on Friday.
I love it. I love watching. There's nothing better than waking up at 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning or even 1:30 in the morning and being able to turn on the TV and watch live golf.
It's the best.
You can't beat it.
Ultimate couch surfing. Ultimate couch potato time right there. Yes, our friends at Conway can help you. Ian Doig has Ludwig Oberg. He loves Ludwig.
Yeah, but Oberg. But he had a 450-yard drive.
I know. Did you see that? That was insane.
I didn't see it, but that's
It was
stupid.
One of the most nuts things I've ever seen on a golf course. Brooks Koepka, Tommy Fleetwood, Hideki Matsuyama, another one of my guys. And then I have a team full of my guys, of course. I've got Colin Morikawa, Matty Skechers, Fitzpatrick, Shane Lowry, the Irishman, of course. I love Shane Lowry, and Wyndham Clark. And,
Wyndham. Windy
Wyndham. He's doing just fine. I figured the course would suit him. He loves the wind. It's not his name's not just a happy circumstance. Windy Wyndham. How about that? We thought, we wanted to have a bit of fun this week. We're on location. We're in Clarkey's basement. Yes. It's all bedazzled here. And we thought, we're sitting right next to each other this week. Why don't we have a bit of fun down here in the basement? And Clarkey's got something teed up specifically for me. I don't know what this is, but Clarkey, why don't you just tell me? Why don't you just tell me what's going on here? We're going to
do a little trivia. We're going to do a little trivia today.
Wow.
In other words,
you're putting me on the spot.
In other words, it's the dog days of usually August, but it's the dog days of July.
Yeah.
And we have nothing else to talk about.
So we can't talk about the All-Star game.
There's not much going on in hockey. The Blue Jays still suck.
The Blue Jays
are terrible. Who cares about the All-Star game except, look who won the home run derby. Look who won. Look who won. Was that a former Blue Jay?
Oh, yeah.
Was that a former Blue Jay?
A guy too. Congrats to Teoscar Hernandez. By the way, what a home run derby. A lot of people were talking about they didn't really like the new rules setup. I thought it was fine in the drama at the end where Bobby Witt Jr., a Texas native, All-Star game was down at Globe Life Field in Texas. He came up feet short of tying Teoscar and sending it to a swing off. That was incredible drama.
Wouldn't it have been great, though, to see
Teoscar in a Blue Jays uniform doing that?
Or Vladdy and Teoscar going head-to-head in the final.
That would have been nuts. Vladdy said he thinks next year he'll probably do it again.
Who cares?
Of course, he won in 2023. He actually holds the record for most home runs in a derby.
Yes.
He hit 91
and
in 2021.
And he didn't win that year.
No, he didn't win, which is insane.
It's insane. 91 and didn't win.
That was the first thing I thought of, and I immediately thought of you flipping out, going, the former Blue Jay, because Teoscar, they couldn't keep Teoscar or Lourdes Gurriel around, remember everybody, because the Jays were having too much fun.
Yes. He hit too many home runs in the playoffs.
I would take that team, that 2021 squad over whatever's going on now.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's not good at all. Okay, but now on to something fun, we think.
Okay.
Unless I get every question
as you know,
wrong.
It's been a little bit of a whirlwind day for me.
You're...
Not to make excuses, but I have a few little questions here.
Okay.
I'm going to just throw at you. Do you want to go back and forth? Do you have stuff for me, too?
I don't have anything for you.
You have nothing for me? You didn't come prepared?
Listen, Clarkey...
you were supposed to throw some at me.
Now, look.
We talked about it.
Look.
Leafs 80s trivia.
I'm not an expert on Leafs 80s
Google
trivia.
it.
Do you want me to just run down a bunch of Al Iafrate trivia? Because that's the only one that matters. I want to say I don't mean to be disrespectful, and I don't want to send this segment on a wayward trajectory here. But let's be honest, I don't know how well you would do at trivia. You don't strike me as trivia guy.
Well, not only am I not trivia guy, but 80s Leafs, like you could throw names at me and I'll know what number they wore and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the other thing with not being good at trivia and not having any time to prepare for your questions,
right?
I have a feeling these are like stupid, easy questions that I'm going to be throwing at you.
Really? Okay, well, let's see if I get any wrong. You know, I feel like you've got something prepared. Look.
Yeah, it's called Google.
I'll say this. I'm pretty good at hockey trivia, like general trivia. I'm not just a Caps fan. I watch
some
the
Caps
game.
Questions at you.
Wow. Okay.
Who's the first Cap to be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame?
The first Washington Capital to be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
that's actually a tough question.
Oh,
I want to say it was Rod Langway.
So I can give you a multiple choice.
Oh,
I have a multiple choice. It was either A, Dale Hunter, B, Larry Murphy, C, Mike Gartner, or D, Rod Langway.
Well, it's not Dale. It's Rod. It's Rod Langway. Dale's not in. Dale's not in the Hall of Fame.
He wanted to do this trivia.
Dale's not in the Hall of Fame. Who are the other options?
Larry Murphy and Mike Gartner.
Gart's got in like the mid 2000s.
Mike Gartner was the first Washington Capital.
Really?
Inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
When did he get inducted?
No, it doesn't say.
I thought that he got inducted in the mid 2000s because Rod got in 2002. I know because I have a signed jersey from him that he signed for
former
me.
Leaf, Mike Gartner.
Wow, Mike Gartner. Okay,
there you go, Mike Gartner.
I thought it was the Secretary of Defense.
And do you know what
he was a
very
freak.
famous play Mike Gartner was involved in as a Maple Leaf?
I couldn't tell you.
So I was at the game.
Here's trivia from Clarkey.
Yeah, I was at the game. It's not really trivia, but Mike Gartner was skating down the ice and he got a stick lifted. It flew into the stands. And as he was turned around, a fan, because of Maple Leaf Gardens, where those chairs came from, the glass was low.
It was really low.
A fan handed the stick back to him in a playoff game. He got the stick, went down, and scored.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
True story. I was at the game.
Well, and he could do that because he was
Incredible.
faster than almost anybody back then. One of the best. Hey, and one of the few guys, I believe there's only 8 of them ever, that have 700-plus career goals.
Yeah.
I think Gartz has 708.
Yeah, good guy.
How about that? Yeah,
guy.
I actually interviewed him in college for a project. He runs a great charity called Hockey Helps the Homeless. Super great guy. He was an ambassador that year.
And just to change topics for a minute, but another super great guy. I was at the Stratford Rotary Arena
Yep.
on Tuesday night playing hockey.
Yeah.
Guess who was there? On the ice.
In Stratford?
Yeah, on the ice doing a hockey school.
I know this person. Like it's a significant person.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan
You'll
O'Reilly?
never get it.
Was it Ryan O'Reilly?
Peter DeBoer.
No way. Pete DeBoer.
I walked by him 2 weeks ago, and I'm not expecting Pete DeBoer.
Yeah,
right
there he is.
And he's walking towards me, and I gave it one of those, and he nodded. I said hi, and I'm walking by. I'm like, I know that guy.
Is he coming on the show?
Pete DeBoer. Well, if I see him next time,
Yeah.
maybe I'll ask him.
Drag him over.
Because he's apparently his family runs
Fascinating guy.
or his sons run a hockey school, and he's been there.
Incredible.
So if you want to see Pete DeBoer,
One of the most popular OHL
go to
coaches of all
Stratford
time.
Arena at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, back to the trivia. What
Who
else?
was the first Caps head coach to win the Jack Adams? Ooh. This should be a no-brainer. Come on.
Boy. Well, it's Brucey. It's Brucey Boudreau. It was Brucey.
Bruce. Oh.
It wasn't Bruce. Was it Brian Murray?
There you go. Oh. Brian Murray.
I didn't think back far enough.
No.
Brian Murray, God rest his soul. What a great coach. Super good to my cousin Brad, of course, who had a good relationship with him. Brian Murray was a legend.
Brian
Still
Murray.
well-loved down in Washington.
Yeah, I remember him with the Red Wings for many, many years as well.
Yeah, and then, of course, finishing off in Ottawa. He was one of the most beloved hockey men in the league. Everyone liked Brian Murray, including me.
Okay.
That was back when I was a little kid when he won that. Yeah.
Now I'm thinking you're going to get this one easily, but I didn't know this.
Alex Ovechkin.
And there's no you can't look at anything. Okay, while we do this.
What do you mean I can't
You'll
look at
know
anything?
as soon as I see it. Say it. You'll know.
Okay.
On the Washington Capitals logo, what shape appears 5 times on the Eagles' body?
Shape appears 5 times.
A circle, a star, a square, or a diamond?
The logo.
You didn't know this?
Which logo are we
it's the
talking
old
about?
logo.
Are we talking about the primary logo?
This must be the old.
Just the cap that says capitals?
Dude, I don't know.
Because stars.
No, probably not. It's the eagle logo.
The eagle
Is that
logo?
what you have on
It'd
your
be
arm, by the way?
stars. No, I have the Weagle. This is the redux of.
So that one doesn't
So this
have
is
it.
not.
So it must be the other one.
This is not the one that you might be referring to when Ovi was a rookie and those late 90s, early 2000s. Remember, they changed him to the black with the eagle. This is known.
It must be the black one.
This is known as the Weagle because it's shaped like a W and, of course, has the Capitol building in it. I'm going to say stars, though.
It is stars.
It's stars.
But what is that the one on their shoulder now?
This is the shoulder patch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
On the when they went back to the red, white, and blue, rock the red era Capitals.
Right.
But it is stars regardless.
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. I'm technically 1 for 3 here.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, I landed on Brian Murray, but I said Brucey Boudreau, who I met last year, by the way. Super guy.
And you know what the funny thing is? Like, I was looking it up myself here, and like I'm on the same site you sent me, and I didn't even know I was on the same site.
There you go.
I know this one, and I'm sure you know it as well.
You don't have to give me all Capitals questions.
No, I'm not
by the
now.
way. Okay, we're switching. We're switching off. Okay.
But who was drafted right behind Sidney Crosby?
Oh, I do know that. Oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart right now. Played for the Ducks for a long time.
Correct.
Bobby Ryan. He scored that nasty goal against Nashville. Bobby Ryan. Good player.
Yeah.
Like, really good player.
Yeah.
Ran into some, and that his story, I'm sure you remember that story that he told about his childhood and everything.
Yeah.
How he had to change his name to, that was crazy.
It was crazy.
Good player.
Yeah.
Good player. I like Bobby Ryan.
And the reason I know this is, I was at the draft.
Yeah, you would have been there, 05.
I was there, and Jack Johnson was in that draft, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and he got taken, what?
Third maybe?
No, Jack, you know what?
Look it up.
I know this. Jack Johnson was the year after. He was first overall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Jack. I swear Jack Johnson actually might have been drafted first overall in 07.
So you think it was the
2005
draft? This is great TV, by the way.
The 05 draft, it was Sid, Bobby Ryan. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head who got drafted.
Well, I'm going to look it up here. Sid, Bobby Ryan, Jack Johnson. I was right. So here's why I know this.
You know who I mixed him up with? Okay. Eric Johnson was drafted first overall the year after.
So this is how I know that Jack Johnson was picked third. And it's a wild story.
Amazing.
When you go to these events and you cover them for media, they always have a luncheon the day before the draft. And at the luncheon, all the the top 10 prospects are in a room. They're on a little podium, and they're talking to the media.
I have a feeling I know where this is going.
You can go around and talk to them.
Oh, no.
Well, I happened to be with a young woman who worked for Leafs TV at the time. And, well, Jack Johnson's parents were trying to set her up with Jack.
Wow.
And he kept coming over and talking to us and talking to us and talking to us. And not only did Jack talk about how good, or did Jack's dad talk about how good Jack was, he started ripping into all the other players. He's like, Jack's got to go second. Like, Bobby Ryan can't skate at all. And just was ripping every other player.
Also, according to Brian Burke, he can't spell, what was the word that he couldn't spell?
Jack Johnson?
Yeah, remember when they picked the Olympic team that year, and Brian Burke was like,
he had some problems with his parents too, right? After.
Right.
I think they took his money.
They stole a lot of money from Jack.
So that was quite the story, and it was quite the draft.
Yeah.
Jack's mom, the night before the draft, let's just say, she couldn't walk very well.
Oh, okay, yeah. And they were spilling some beans about that he was going to go third.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Not a lot.
Yeah. Because Berkey was the GM in Anaheim and picked Ryan.
And picked Bobby, yeah. And he was trying to make a play to try and get first overall. He always was at the draft. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. That draft was the one that was held at the hotel, right? Because that was after the lockout.
Yeah,
So
was that Ottawa then?
And it was held in a hotel ballroom, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Speaking of Leafs, Gilmore's here. Gilmore's here. Gilmore the cat's here.
I was like, where?
Yeah, here.
Gilly's right here.
Gilmore.
Is he in the shot, Adam? Producer Adam? Yeah, he's in the shot. Yeah,
Gilmore has to be here. Maybe we'll see Sandy later too.
Yeah, she's sleeping on the couch.
There you go.
Probably move a camera, but okay. You ready?
More trivia. Let's do
You
it.
don't have any for me. I can't believe it. Because you're not exactly lighting things on fire here.
I'm aware of that, but I'm on
Can't
a
you
roll now.
Can't we just take a quick break and then you just look up some Leaf trivia for me?
I'm on a roll here.
Leafs 80
We'll
trivia?
consider it. We'll consider it.
Okay.
When we do the second segment where we're going to do some top 5 lists, I'll launch 4 or 5 your way. How about that? Poor Clarkey, he wants to feel included.
Who did Gretzky score his first goal against?
The goalie or the team?
Team. It's kind of a stupid question. But.
Oilers, that would have been back in the old division days. I don't know why, but LA's jumping out at me. Not the LA Kings.
Here's your choices. It's multiple choice. Toronto, Vancouver, Pittsburgh.
Oh, maybe Pittsburgh then.
Try again.
Was it the Leafs?
Nope.
It was Vancouver. Wow. I genuinely didn't know that.
It's kind of a stupid question.
keep
It's so
that- no.
irrelevant. No, it's kind of dumb.
Yeah, it's a Gretzky question. None of them are irrelevant, are they?
Well,
What else?
do you want me
That was a
to
tough-
come up with one more?
I'll have to I'll log that one to the memory banks. Vancouver, eh? Who almost tried to sign him. They almost tried to sign him when he ended up signing with the Rangers that one year. Vancouver.
Do we still have to take a break in this show before we?
Well, I mean, we're gonna take
yeah?
it at some
Right?
point. A
Adam?
break.
We do have to take a break. Yeah.
Well, we will. It's a show. We got lots of time left. I'm ready for more questions. I got to get on a heater here.
I know. Like this one's going to be easy. How about I give you a gimme?
Oh, you're gonna give me a gimme, and I'll get it wrong.
The two superstars, Crosby and Ovechkin, came into the league in, of course, 2005-06 season.
Yeah.
But which one finished the year with more points and the Rookie of the Year award?
Ovi did. He had 106, 52 goals, 54 helpers. Sid had 102 points. I want to say he had 46 goals and 56 assists. And Ovi won Rookie of the Year that year. Yeah. Controversially,
You're
for
welcome.
some.
You're welcome.
I mean, he scored 52 goals as a rook.
Yeah.
Come on. He's the man.
No, I know you're not going to get the.
I'm not gonna get this?
You're not going to get this one. We've gone from an easy one
to an
impossible-
all-timer? Okay.
Impossible.
Well, sure.
How long was the longest consecutive goal streak by a player?
The longest, like most games in a row scoring a goal?
Yeah.
You would assume it's Gretzky, eh? That's got to be like a Gretzky or Lemieux record. Huh.
Don't even, you're not going to get it.
Although it also could be like one of those players from like the 20s, you know? I'm just going to say 24 games.
So 16, which is still pretty incredible.
That's insane. Who did it? Does it
Punch
say?
Broadbent in
Yeah,
1921.
In 1921. I knew it was going to be one of those goofy, for the Montreal Maroons, Newsy Lalonde. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, too. It's interesting, though. 16 straight games with a goal. Eh? I wonder what, like, the modern-day record is, though. You would think it's got to be Gretz or Lemieux.
I would
And it's
think
probably
so.
double digits.
Yeah.
Although Sittler had a couple.
Yeah.
Your boy Daryl,
Yeah.
he had a couple nasty goal
Yeah.
streaks, too.
Okay, let's talk about Daryl.
Let's talk about Daryl?
Yeah, let's talk about Daryl. As you know, I'm sure, he holds the record for most points in a game.
Yes, he does.
How many points, how many goals, how many assists, and what was the goalie?
He had 10 points.
Yep.
He double hattied. He had 6 goals.
Correct.
4 helpers.
Correct.
It was against Boston,
Correct.
but the goalie's name.
Come
and
on!
you've told me this too, and you had a terrible joke
I
about
did.
it
I'm
that
not
we will
doing the
not
joke.
tell on the
The
show.
joke again.
I want to say it was. I can't remember his first name. It was Reese though. It was Bob Reese.
No, you're close.
Bill
It was
Reese?
good enough, Dave.
Dave Reese. Like Reese Peanut Butter Cups, Reese. Yeah, I knew it was Reese, and I couldn't remember his first name.
Yeah.
Tough night for him. He was in for all. The Leafs
He
won
never
that night.
played another game.
Yeah, he didn't play another
That
game.
was his only game in the National Hockey League.
But I think he went
Cheevers
on.
was on the bench.
I think he went on to and that's why they didn't put Jerry in because he had the flu, and they didn't want to put him in.
And he
the
tells
Leafs
the story.
won what
or Grapes,
12
it was
something?
11-6.
Yeah, and he was in for all 11.
Yeah, and
Merciless.
Grapes tells the story where after like the 8th or 9th goal, he looked down at the bench and he was looking at Cheevers, trying to get Cheevers to look at him, and Cheevers had a towel around his shoulders, and he just put the towel right over his head.
I'm not going.
I'm not going in.
I'm not going. Yeah,
but it was an
he
incredible night, and that was
10 points.
1976. It's unbelievable that hasn't been broken. Like it really is.
Guys have come close. Like McDavid had an 8.
There's a couple guys.
Sam
with 8.
Gagner had an 8 the one night. Lemieux had 8.
Yeah.
If there's one guy that's going to do it, it's McJesus, and it'll be like a 7 assist, 4 goal type thing.
Yeah.
It's a tough record.
It is
to break.
a tough record now. Back in the 80s,
it's an
is when it probably
heater.
would have been broken.
Yeah.
With all the scoring, but now it's very, very, very tough.
Like everything he touched just ended up in the back of the net that night. Daryl, one of the great Leafs ever, and was severely disrespected by the owner.
Mm-hmm. He was.
Yeah, he absolutely was. His book is really good too. Daryl Sittler's book. I'm sure you've read it.
Yeah.
Really good.
I don't think there's Daryl right behind you. Daryl's right behind you on the wall.
There's Daryl.
With the medicine ball. Yeah, with the medicine ball.
My mom's
that's at
all-time
Maple Leaf
favorite
Gardens.
player.
That's at Maple Leaf Gardens, and that's training camp.
Yeah.
That's what they did for training camp.
Yeah, you showed up to training camp to get in shape. You didn't show up in shape.
And I don't know, Adam, if you can really see it behind them, but they're in like the corridor at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yeah,
there's no gym.
They're
There's
literally
nothing.
in the hallway.
There's chairs, wooden chairs. They're just lifting. Daryl's jumping off the stairs in Maple Leaf Gardens. That's
I'm more interested in the Mike Palmateer because there he is in Washington Capitals. Your all-time favorite goalie.
Yeah, it is, and there he is. Yeah.
There's Chris Clark trivia.
Exactly. That's one I would have got.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, Daniel and Henrik Sedin were both drafted in 1999.
Yeah, 2nd and 3rd overall. More Berkey draft magic.
Who went first?
Oh, man. You know who went first?
Got a 50-50 chance.
No, don't even tell me the guys because I know who it is.
Well, it's either Daniel or Henrik. What do you mean, don't tell me the guys?
Oh, you mean first between those two?
Yeah.
I thought you meant first in the draft because that's Patrick Steffen.
Yeah,
Patrick Steffen was the first overall pick that year to the Atlanta Thrashers. Yeah, whoopsie. The open net miss. Look it up on YouTube.
Yeah.
I want to say Daniel went first.
You're right.
Yeah, he got drafted first. He had a better year in Sweden, but they wanted both of them, obviously. It turned out pretty good. Should have won a cup. I felt bad for them in 2011. They should have won a cup. Yeah, I know you didn't. Vancouver's still looking for that first one, eh? They're going to get one eventually here, I think.
Come on.
They will. I think so.
Okay.
Do you have any more for me?
No,
Is that it?
You're going to take a break, and you're going to ask me a couple.
Okay.
You're going to do a little homework in the break.
We'll take a break.
We got a little bit of time here.
We'll take a break. I'll come back. I'll include Clarkey in the trivia. Let's see how he did or how he does.
But it's got to be Leafs 80s trivia.
Fine. I'll look up some specific trivia for you and you alone.
Thank you.
And then we're going to talk. Look, we want to do some top fives here. We're going to talk about the top 5 most crushing losses we've ever experienced as sports fans. And then in the spirit of this NHL trivia, we're going to talk about our top 5 favorite players that never played for our team. So Mike Palmateer can't be on your list. We're going to talk our top 5 players that have played in the NHL. Doesn't even have to be current guys that did not play for the Washington Capitals or the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's next here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Down here in Clarkey's basement, we're on location. Producer Adam's right there. It's great to see everybody from the show in person here.
Yeah.
And Clarkey was a little upset in the last segment because I didn't have plans to include him in trivia. Okay.
You did though.
And
you said
I
earlier.
sewered him.
We talked about this.
Yeah, but then I thought, Clarkey doesn't strike me as a good trivia guy. So I was just like, we won't do it.
Thanks. Okay, thanks.
So what I'll do now is I've got some Leaf specific questions here queued up, and they're not all about 80s Maple Leafs, okay? Like we're not gonna that's a niche trivia market.
Fine.
We're not gonna do that. So what I'll do instead is I've got this good Leafs trivia here, and it's spread all over. So like let's see how Clarkey does. And he said in the break, I'll probably get the first one wrong. He shouldn't, because it's a pretty obvious one, and I'm sorry to do this to you right off the top.
I'll probably get it wrong.
I'm sorry to do this to you.
No, I'll panic.
I'm sorry to do this to you right off the top. When was the last time the Leafs won the Cup? And who did they beat?
Well, they
I'll give you bonus points if you can tell me how many games.
Yeah.
And the year.
Well, 67.
Say the year. Yep.
Yeah.
67.
George Armstrong.
Montreal.
Was the winner.
Yeah. Georgie Armstrong.
Scored the winner.
How many games?
5?
6.
6.
But, hey, you're on the board. You're on the board.
Well,
what is the only original 6 team that the Leafs have not beat in a Stanley Cup final?
Wow. Well, they beat Detroit. They beat Montreal.
This feels like it should be obvious.
Boston.
It is Boston. It's Boston.
I would have got there eventually. Yeah, Boston. Yeah, 2 for 2.
Let me throw you. Here's a way back playback for you. What was Sil App's nickname? What did they call Sil Apps?
Like, the first thing that comes to mind is slaps, but I don't think that's right.
It's not. He was nicknamed Slippery Sil because he was impossible.
I would not have
to
known
catch.
That. Slaps would have been a lot better.
Here, I'll take you back to your childhood once again. Here, now we're getting
by the way,
into
that was
some tough
before
stuff.
Childhood.
Yeah, I know Sil Apps was before your childhood, but this is right in the heart of it. Okay,
here we go.
Let me take you back to 1972. What Toronto goalie was forced to leave a playoff game in 1972 when New York Ranger tough guy Vic Hadfield threw his mask into the stands during a brawl at Madison Square Garden?
Well,
we're getting into tough territory.
72.
1972 is a playoff game, and Vic Hadfield threw his mask into the stands at Madison Square Garden. What was the goalie? All-time great goalie, too.
Terry Sawchuk?
It was not Terry. 72, that's past Terry. He was gone by then.
Jacques Plante?
No. It was Bernie Perrant.
Bernie, I love Bernie.
All-time great Philly
I love
Flyer,
Bernie.
of course.
Okay, yeah.
You should get this one. When was the last game played at Maple Leaf Gardens? I need the date.
The date.
Yeah.
Well, it was 1999.
It was. I remember watching this on TV.
It was
really
against
cool.
Chicago.
It was
Bob
against Chicago.
Probert scored the last goal.
Yeah, and they lost.
And
the
it
Leafs
was,
lost.
I want to say, January 31st. No?
Pretty close. February 13th.
Oh, yes.
Against the Blackhawks,
February
who coincidentally
13th.
were the same team that opened the Gardens.
Yes. And who scored the first goal in Maple Leaf Gardens?
The very first goal ever in Maple Leaf.
First goal.
1931? Okay,
Yep.
We're kicking it back.
I got a great story.
I don't even know. Charlie Conacher.
No. The guy's name was Harold Mush, was a nickname. Harold Mush March.
Nice. Okay.
And Harold Mush March, when I was working at the Fan, we put together a 6-hour documentary, audio documentary on the closing of the Gardens. I still have it on CDs. And I was producing it, and my goal from the beginning of that documentary was to get a hold, if he was alive, of Harold Mush March. And lo and behold, I finally did it. I got a hold of his family. I got a hold of his son. And I told his son what I was doing. And they said, listen, he's in a home. He's okay. He's 90, well, I don't know, 90-something years old.
Yes.
But they said he still has a good mind. And I can ask him if he remembers it. So he went to the home that night, and he asked his dad, and his dad remembered. And he called me the next day. His son called me the next day and said, I'm going to be there tomorrow. Gave me a time. I'm going to call you. I'm going to ask my dad the question again, and I'm going to put him on the phone. And I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it again, because we talked to Harold Mush March, the guy who scored the first goal in Maple Leaf Gardens, and all he said was, I scored the first goal in Maple Leaf Gardens, you know? That's all he said.
Amazing.
And that was
that's all he needed.
That was
to
the
say.
very beginning of the show. That was one of my highlights of my career in production, to get the guy who scored the first goal. I then took an idea to the Leafs, who were putting together the closing of the Garden ceremony. And I said, listen, I don't know what this guy, if he's on, death's door, I don't know. But I said, I know he's not a Maple Leaf. He was a Chicago Blackhawk. Okay, he never played for the Leafs.
Yeah.
He was a Chicago Blackhawk. And I said, wouldn't it be neat to have him in a wheelchair on the ice at the closing of the Gardens, and have his son help him shove a puck into the net, and then the lights go off?
Oh, wow.
Wouldn't that have been cool?
It would have been really cool.
The Leafs didn't think that was cool.
Yeah, well, they
They didn't.
They should have listened to old
So
Clarkey.
Bob Probert gets credited. Not that it would have counted as the last
I
goal.
understand.
But I just thought,
Symbolically,
what a way it would have been to close the Gardens.
That would have been really cool.
But my idea went nowhere.
Well, I like your ideas,
Would he
buddy.
have flown here? Who knows? Who knows?
I'll throw one more at you, and then we'll do some top fives here. Who was the first Leaf to score 100 points in a season? Come on, Clarkey. Don't do this.
Dougie?
It wasn't Dougie.
It was earlier than Dougie?
Yeah, it was earlier. It was earlier. Quite a bit earlier.
Well, that's good. I mean, it was good. It was earlier.
Yeah, good. It was
Darryl?
earlier. Yeah, it was Daryl.
Yeah, okay.
It was Sitz.
Yeah.
It was Daryl Sittler. All right.
Yeah.
We got to do this now.
Okay.
And I'm putting you on the spot now.
What are we doing?
Okay. I want to talk because the Jays, they're the number one talking point up here right now because of how bad and disappointing they are.
Yeah.
And then the Hernandez thing at the home run derby didn't help.
Yeah.
So I want to talk in the spirit of negativity about the top 5 most crushing losses we've experienced as a fan. I don't know if you have
if I can get to 5,
I have 5.
Yeah.
Start us off. Give me number 1.
Well, there's no question what number 1 is.
What's number 1?
Well, number 1 was
I feel like it's 1993.
1993. No, there's no doubt about it, man. You didn't live through it.
I know.
There was no doubt
I was
about
alive.
it. But see, here's where I'm struggling.
Okay.
Was the most crushing Game 6? I think it was. Or Game 7. I think Game 6 was the most crushing.
Because of the high stick.
Well, yeah. Of course.
In retrospect, it's the most crushing. But at the time, Game 7 at the time probably felt worse.
Well,
because then
I
Wayne
guess, but
Gretzky
Game
went
6,
off.
when they lost Game 6,
Yeah.
there was 2 things, and I remember it like it was yesterday. There was 2 things. First of all, it was BS, how it happened. He should never have been on the ice.
Yeah.
Because they just remember that the NHL came out with a rule a few years earlier. If you draw blood, you are gone for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
No questions asked. Doesn't matter if it's accidental. If there's blood, it's 4 minutes.
Which remains, yeah.
There was blood.
There was a lot of blood.
There was blood.
There was a lot of blood. Dougie's chin was split.
And the second thing that was even more crushing to me was my buddy was getting married on the night of Game 7. So I wasn't able to watch Game 7. Now,
which was probably better for you.
As it turned out, we went up to the bar and watched the game.
Oh.
But Game 6 was probably the most crushing loss, and I'm going to put Game 7 as number 2.
Glutton for punishment. Okay.
Number 2.
You know what? In the interest of your sanity here, we can just do a top 3 because like that, I feel like that narrows it down. Okay, so there's your 2. Would 3 then be 2013?
Yes. Yes. And I'll never forget 2013 either.
Really though, because it like that team was not really even supposed to make the playoffs.
No, but
like
you're up
but just the way
4-1,
it went,
dude. You're up 4-1.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it.
You
It's
know,
a bad
Jack
one.
Edwards is saying how the Leafs are crushing and crushing the soul out of the Bruins in Game 7 in Boston, and it's going to take a miracle for the Bruins to come back. Well, it did. They came back. But the worst part about it, here's the worst part for me that night.
Okay.
I'll never forget it. I was in Mississauga in my basement on that couch, and you can't see it, but there's a couch right there. And my 2 daughters are watching the game with me, one of which was a Tyler Seguin fan, and she had a Bruins jersey on that night.
Oh no.
Okay. So
This is Jenna. The unofficial equipment
so
manager.
12 minutes left in the game. Nazem Kadri scores 4-1. Leafs. 4-1.
Yeah, we're feeling good.
Jenna is lying on the floor, and I take a picture of her. And social media, basically, Facebook just said started, right? Like
It wasn't around
a while.
It wasn't
around a
prominent.
while.
Sure.
I take a picture, and I've learned my lesson. I took a picture, and I go, Bruins fans have resorted to lying face down on the floor.
Uh-oh.
At that moment.
And it's haunted you ever since.
It's haunted me ever since.
She'll never let you live that
Ever
down.
since. And I won't rub it in people's faces if the Leafs are beating the team now, because I know it'll come back and haunt me at some point.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Tough one. Three bad ones for
Yeah,
me.
I wish there was a Jays one that I could think of, like a crushing defeat by the Jays.
They barely made the playoffs in the last 30-odd years.
The only 2 times they made the World Series, they won.
Exactly. So
They won. So
the crushing losses are not as,
1982,
although Minnesota last year.
1982.
Yeah.
The Argos.
Yeah.
The Argos lost in the Grey Cup final, but they won it the next year.
Yeah, the Boatmen have done a lot of winning. They're
have.
fine.
Yeah.
They're going to be fine.
Yep. Anyway, what are yours?
To narrow it to a top 3, this is actually pretty easy. Top 3 for me. Number 3, I'll go the other way. Number 3 would be 2017 against Pittsburgh again, the Capitals.
Yeah.
And thank God and this is 3 for me because we won the next year. I don't know if I showed that earlier, but the Stanley Cup.
Nice.
So that's why it's 3 for me now, because I was at my wit's end. I remember going into my then boss, Steve Sabern, our buddy Sabby, going into his office and like being in tears. I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And I'll say it would have been an all-time crime if Ovi had never won a cup, but he did, and that's all that matters. He's going to break Gretzky's record. 2 for me, and this might surprise some people what my number 1 answer was. It'll surprise you. 2 for me is the Patriots in 2007, the almost undefeated season. They were 19-0, or pardon me, 18-0, get into the Super Bowl, and they lose to the Giants. It made me sick. I ran home from my friend's house in tears. I ran home. I was 7, so I'm 16 years old. I ran home in tears. Wow. And I ran upstairs, and my mom left me alone. I didn't come out of my room for 24 hours. I was so angry that we did not go undefeated, and the Miami Dolphins from 72 were happy about that. Number 1, and this is just because I became such a huge fan of the team and remain a huge fan. And it's because of the circumstances around it, where this game was played, who was on the team at the time, and the team that we lost to. Chelsea in the 2008 Champions League final in Moscow. Our then owner Roman Abramovich, who saved the club, it's his hometown. We're in Moscow. It's against Manchester United. It goes to penalty kicks, and our captain, the great John Terry, it was raining. He slipped when he took his penalty and skied it over the net. And producer Adam, you can find the clip of this to roll over it. It's all, you find it on YouTube, no problem. It's so heartbreaking, even though we won finally the Champions League 4 years later. It was so heartbreaking to watch a guy like John Terry, who was just such a warrior, slip and fall, and it's a famous image. He's bent over on his rear end with his head in his knees, bawling. I was crushed. I was my soul left my body temporarily. I was heartbroken, and to Man United too. If it had been to Barcelona, you'd go, okay, Messi, right? But to Man United, Man your United, English, Clarkey, that's awful. That would be my top 3 for sure. Awful. Yeah. All right. Quickly. Yeah. We got it. We're not going to be able to do our top 5. We could do that next week. Okay. Because we're running out of time here. Okay. We've told a lot of stories here. Our Conway Furniture Couch Potato, and look, I know Conway Furniture.
Oh, it's the other side of the room.
People know. Go get it. You gotta go get it.
Producer Adam
is going to be
beside
an
my computer.
Absolute hero.
It's on my set. It's over there somewhere. There's a couple.
We got to put the hats on, ladies.
It's got to be there somewhere.
It's not real.
Coming. Here comes.
It's not real if the hats aren't on.
I have my hat ready.
Producer Adam.
I got it.
All timer.
Producer Adam.
It's not real if the hats aren't on.
There we go.
Clarkey, go ahead.
We had a studio audience here too.
We did. Sandy is
get a shot of Sandy.
The unofficial.
Get a shot of Sandy.
The unofficial mascot.
There she is.
Oh, look at Sandy.
Look at there. Look
unofficial
at Sandy.
Mascot. What a beauty.
Good girl.
What
Sandy,
a beauty.
You good girl. She's been watching the whole show.
She's fed up with this.
Nope, she's good. We're in her space.
I want to say quickly, and our friend Phil Main can tell you, where is Conway Furniture?
Conway Furniture, Highway 86, just east
Adam
of Listowel.
Right when he's moving the camera, so
there it is. We know. We know. He got it in there. He's the producer.
Yeah, he's got
the magic of editing. The magic of editing, and we know he can edit. Look at last week's show with Todd Hamilton.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's get to it.
Conway Furniture, Highway 86, east end of Listowel. Couch Potato, Clarkey, kick us off.
Well, it's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah, we're not talking about a bad one this week. And it's to our guy. It's to our guy who we had on the show. And Todd Hamilton's my couch potato. We have never had a better show. We've had
he was great.
Really good guests on this show, but we haven't had a guy who played in the British Open. And won at Troon. Hey. And then played today in the British Open. And I did ask him at the end of the show, or maybe it was after the show. No, was it on the show?
Should I have picked you?
No. If he would come on if he won the tournament from the clubhouse.
And when he said, I'll fly up.
I'll figure it out.
He actually said, I'll fly up.
Now, chances are he's probably not going to win. But Todd Hamilton, hats off to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. And you're my good couch potato this week.
There you go. I got a bad one. And producer Adam's got the graphic ready, and I'm just floored by this on a couple fronts here. Now, look, there's been a lot of talk, and you guys know this. I just hate baseball owners. I don't like them. They make me sick. I have here graphics showing the difference between teams' 2007 payrolls and their payrolls this year. The Jays' 07 payroll is $82 million. Not very good times for the Jays. Roy Halladay was still around. He was like their only good player.
Not very good times like now or then.
Well, then in particular, it's not good now. Their payroll now is $236 million this year. It's a difference of $154 million. $154 million, 17 odd years later. And what are they getting out of it? Like, look, we crap on Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro a lot. The players on this team are absolute gas cans this year. It's inexcusable to have this many guys play this badly. Whose fault is that? I don't know. Obviously, it's theirs. Coaches, I don't know who it is. Gosman's bad. Chris Bassett makes $21 million. He's been terrible. Vladdy's the only one who's really turned it around. Bo Bichette has 4 home runs as we record this. I can't believe it. And then on the other end of the spectrum, my favorite team to crap on now that the Arizona Coyotes don't exist. The Oakland Athletics, who will cease to exist soon, we think. $79 million 07 payroll, and they were still a good team back then. This year, $61 million. They're the only team on the chart, Clarkey, you can see that's red. That's a minus. The Oakland Athletics are the only team on this list.
Yeah.
Producer Adams got it up.
Yeah.
That are a negative difference from 07. A difference of $18 million. It's absolutely a joke. John Fisher is a loser.
Well,
I hate him eternally.
Hold on.
No,
hold on. Why is he a loser if they suck and the Jays suck and he's spending a lot less money sucking? That sounds like a smart guy to me.
Don't ever say that in front of me ever again. Don't ever give John Fisher credit in front of me ever again. Because the team, if they spent an extra $40 million, $50 million, that they get from revenue sharing, by the way, them and the Rays and stuff.
Yeah.
If they spent that money, they would still have Matt Olson. They might still have Marcus Semien. They might still have Chris Bassett. They might still have Frankie Montas. They might still have Matt Chapman. They might still have a bunch of guys who were excellent and led huge playoff charges for that club. I hate John Fisher. Don't ever say that to me again.
I said it in person.
You're sliding in. You're sliding
I said
in
it over the internet.
You're going to be my couch potato again. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again to Todd Hamilton.
Oh yes, yeah. But
thanks to Todd Hamilton.
We have one more thing to do before we go.
Do we have one more thing to do?
Yeah, we got to talk about Larry Hudson.
Oh, we got to talk about hot deals.
Hot deals.
There's a lot of hot deals.
And right now,
you got to do it now.
Right now,
get in there.
The hottest deal is employee pricing.
Yes.
Yes, I get a discount.
To the 25th?
Yes, I get a discount.
You do, of course.
But
You're
you
an
know
employee.
what? So do you. Here's the hat.
So does producer Adam.
So does producer Adam. And
so does
25th. Sandy too. Yeah, Sandy too.
July 25th.
July 25th. Employee pricing on now.
Come on.
Believe me, things are moving.
Yeah.
It's been a good couple.
They're clearing out that lot over there, man.
And
people are excited.
Things are moving. Half-ton trucks, HD trucks, Hummer EVs, Suburbans, Tahoes, Yukon XLs.
You can get them for the same price that Clarkey gets them for.
That's right.
Let's
now
go.
At Larry Hudson's.
Deals are hot. They've never been hotter.
Get over there. Ask for me, Clarkey. Unless you have a rep, then go see your rep.
Absolutely. Larry Hudson's. Deals are always hot. They've never been hotter. July 25th. Yeah. Get over there.
Captain Kirk was in today.
There you go.
The Montreal fan again.
Tough one for him.
Yeah.
You didn't sell him anything, did you?
No,
did you sell him a bright blue, leaf logo truck?
No, he just comes in to bug me.
Sneak a little doormat in there for him.
It's fun chatting with Kirk.
Instigating, we appreciate it. Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9. You can watch the show, our friends on Whiteman TV, Channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. You can find the podcast version on all your favorite podcast apps. We debut on our YouTube channel. Friday nights at 9. Thanks again to Todd Hamilton for joining the show 2 weeks in a row here. And thanks to Clarkey for hosting us here. This is pretty fun, man.
Yeah.
We should do this more.
And finally, if you're looking for a house, this one's for sale.
You can have this one.
This
right
one's
here.
for sale right now.
The pictures don't come with it.
Reach out to me. I will send you the details. But yes, a nice raised bungalow in Listowel is on the market.
I can't believe that you snuck an added for your house.
Hey, yeah.
The pictures don't come with it. Clarkey won't part with these. Maybe the seat.
Yeah.
Maybe the seat.
Maybe we'll get
Adam
right
to
do a little video of the house and put. No, I'm just kidding.
You're unbelievable. That's
kidding.
instigating.
House is for sale.
We'll be back next week. You're for sale.
It's a good price.